My name is Suzanne Nantcurvis and I am Chair of Trustees at Wrexham Foodbank. Wrexham Foodbank has been on the front line of poverty in Wrexham since 2012, providing emergency parcels for families struggling to put food on the table. In 2022, we reviewed our operating practices and realised that what we were doing was crisis management. Crisis management on the basis of looking at the worst impact of poverty rather than providing solutions to the families who were coming to us for help. And we sort of realigned what we were doing because we became a Pathfinder food bank under the Trussell auspices. Now, a Pathfinder food bank was a food bank which meant that you need to set a vision, a long-term vision, but basically what we were trying to do was to do ourselves out of business, not to exist anymore. And the whole idea of Pathfinder was to set in train measures in terms of strategic development so that you would eventually reduce referrals. Reduce referrals and hopefully you'd get to a situation where you were no longer needed in your community. Now that's a very lofty ambition. An ambition that, yes, it's far out, and will we not be needed in Wrexham long term? I think it is a very long way off to achieve that ambition. But unless we set those sort of challenges, what we are doing is accepting that poverty in our community is okay. Well, it's not okay. It's not okay from my point of view, from our trustees' point of view, and from our volunteers. And I would challenge anyone to tell me that the levels of poverty we are seeing in our community are something that is acceptable. So we're a Pathfinder food bank, and what we needed to do was to look at our strategic development and actually become more outward facing and move away from just crisis management. Of course, crisis management will still exist, but we need to look at other strategies. So in terms of being more outward facing, what we decided to do was to look at other organisations that, like us, were intent on looking for resolutions for their clients rather than just accept the awful indignity of poverty. And the food bank had never been a campaigning organisation, and so we looked towards TCC, Together Creating Communities, which has an amazing credentials in terms of being a campaigning organisation. So we felt that TCC would lend us those skills to actually go out there, raise awareness of the poverty in Wrexham, but also look at the root causes and influence change. The other organisation we looked to was Wrexham Citizens Advice. Now, we had a long-term aim of being more closely aligned with Wrexham CAB, and we'd set up a financial inclusion project with the CAB in Wrexham, but within the collaboration that we were looking to in terms of being more outward facing, we decided that CAB would be absolutely perfect partners. So the steering group came alive under the Lloyds Foundation, and we've been very, very fortunate to have that level of support from Lloyds Foundation to actually drive our agenda forward. So TCC, the Wrexham CAB and Wrexham Foodbank are the steering group of this really crucial collaboration in Wrexham. And we knew that with the skills and the background of TCC, they would be able to bring together a broad range of organisations who felt the same as we do about poverty in Wrexham and who were as intent as we are on changing the situation and looking to influence those who have the wherewithal to actually put in some solutions for all of our clients. What we don't want is a dependency culture in Wrexham, and what we don't want is for people to be dragged down by the indignity of not being able to put food on the table and heat their homes in the winter. So, having these partnerships where we can work collectively, make our voices heard to those who are in influential positions is absolutely crucial. Moreover, what we do as well is learn from each other. For us at Wrexham Foodbank, understanding the lived experience in so many different settings which our wide collaboration gives us is really important in terms of looking at how we work with our clientele. And so we can amend our own service according to the needs of our clientele. So I'm going to give you some eye-watering statistics now that I hope will make everybody think. Wrexham Foodbank provides around between 10 and 11,000 food parcels every year. Since COVID, the increase in demand has been exponential. We've looked at around 35 to 40% increase in demand for our services. We provide food for over 3,000 children in our community every year. In 2025, we spent out of our own funds, which are donated by local people, £42,000 on buying food because there were insufficient donations, obviously due to the cost of living crisis. There are 29.3% of children in Wrexham living in poverty. I think that is massive in terms of their health, their socialisation, and obviously their education attainment. There are more and more families in work experiencing poverty, working really hard on a daily basis, sometimes managing 2 or 3 jobs and still struggling to put food on the table. None of these statistics sit well with us at Wrexham Foodbank, and I know that that is the same with our partner organisations in this very important collaboration. To us, it's a shocking indictment on our community that we have this level of poverty. The only way we can change it is by working together. And we are thankful for the strength of the collaboration, for the support that Lloyds have given us, and I know that together we will make that difference that is absolutely needed in our Wrexham community. Thank you.